This episode is brought to you by Big Brand Energy Live, my signature live experience happening June 11th, 2026 in Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada. Big Brand Energy Live was created for the moment when your goals outgrow your current circles. For the women who know they're meant for more visibility, more authority, more impact, but you don't need another generic networking event to tell you that. This is a full-day speaker-led experience designed to help you step into leadership and build a personal brand that actually opens doors. Together, we'll work through 4 pillars that truly move the needle on your biggest business goal. That's vision, visibility, capital, and community. You'll be in the room with over 100 ambitious founders, executive speakers, and women with real purchasing power, all building something meaningful. So if you've been craving a space that reflects who you're becoming, I promise you this is it. Big Brand Energy Live takes place June 11th, 2026 at the Civic Hotel Autograph Collection in Surrey, British Columbia, Canada. You can grab your ticket in the show notes and use code FAMEREADY to save $50. I cannot wait to see you there. What's up, guys? Welcome back to Fame Ready, the podcast to show you that anything is possible. And yes, Big Brand Energy is back. It is the room where female leaders decide anything is possible. You bring your biggest business goal to that event, and together we all work backwards to make sure you leave with an action plan, the next step. You know exactly what you're going to do to bring it to life. I can't wait to see you there. Guys, I'm a bit ragey this morning. And why does it feel like every podcast I've recorded recently, that's the case? I swear I'm not like an Oscar the Grouch. This morning, let me tell you, I woke up in a great mood. I'm about to have a great day. I finally have a team member supporting me behind the scenes that has taken so much off my plate. And I've just found it really kind of seamless to move through my days right now. I'm like, oh, okay. I don't have so much pressure on my brain to remember all of the things that I've been trying to remember, keep up with, emails, all the things. It's been so great. I woke up this morning and I'm like, oh, it's going to be a great day. I get to record the podcast. I'll practice my keynote. I'll just work on some PR stuff behind the scenes. And I have an in-person session with one of my one-on-one clients. So we just do that at a local co-working place. Yeah. So what a great day. I'll go to the gym after this. But somewhere between waking up and sitting down at my desk, I got a little bit annoyed. I think it started, every morning I try to take Dexter for a good walk. He has this habit where he eats dirt. It's so annoying. Literally, if we walk by a dirt patch, he is nose down, trying to eat as much dirt as he possibly can. And it's insane behavior. It's insane. It's annoying because I don't know what the health implications are of that. He already has terrible allergies that he is consistently medicated for. And I'm like, is the dirt the problem? If it's not the problem, it's a problem for sure. So there was that. And then I got back inside and I was like, okay, I'm ready to sit down at the desk, record this podcast. I'm going to practice my keynote. And yeah, I mean, I got a voice note from someone I was really hoping would speak at Big Brand Energy in June. Unfortunately, she has a conflict, so she can't. So that left me feeling a little bit annoyed. And then I did the thing. Guys, I am I know, I got to slow it down. I try to do way too many things at once. On the weekend, so a couple days ago, I was going to take the dogs out on Saturday morning, and they ran down the stairs. So I was coming down the stairs after them, and at the bottom of the staircase was Gabriel's steel toe boots, and I stubbed my toe, my one of my baby toes on the steel toe boot, and it is purple. My toe is like That is a pain I wouldn't wish on anyone. Oh my God, it hurts so bad. And now my toe is purple. And so I know that was me just like trying to move too fast, like being a little bit chaotic in my energy. And then I did the same thing this morning where like I was in the bathroom while my coffee was being made on the Nespresso machine. I was in the bathroom, I was doing my hair, and I was trying to walk out of the bathroom while I was still fixing my hair, and I slammed my elbow into the door frame. So that pissed me off. And then I exited the kitchen only to realize that the Nespresso machine has stopped working. I'm sure it's because it needs to be descaled. And like, Gabriel nor I have done that in ages. So then I had to make my coffee in like the traditional espresso machine, like we have a Breville or whatever, but I just don't think I know how to use it properly. Or like maybe the beans aren't right. I don't know. The coffee never comes out strong enough. And I messed it up the first time because I forgot that it isn't like an espresso where it just like automatically stops. Like you have to press the stop button. So I like filled a mug basically to the brim of like watery espresso because at that point it was like just water. So then I had to do it again. And then I came up here, and then there's like, someone in my email right now trying to negotiate with me. And I'm deciding whether or not I even want to negotiate. It's just all the things today. Oh my gosh. But maybe now that I just like talked them out to the universe. Oh, and then this is like, I always feel bad for getting annoyed at this. But then like every time I come to sit down at my desk in the morning, Dexter wants to sit on my lap. But like he knows as soon as he's up here, he's not comfortable because it's not comfortable to sit in this chair with him and me. And so like I like ignore him for a little bit because I'm like, maybe he'll stop barking at me and stop pawing at the chair if I just ignore him. He never does. He's like more persistent than I am. Like we should all have the persistence of Dexter when he wants to sit on my lap in the morning. So finally, I was like, fine, sit on my lap. So he's sitting on my lap, and I'm like, I got to record this podcast, but like, I know that you're going to just get up in 2 minutes. So that happened. So that was that. And now I'm just like, I probably should do like 5 minutes of like a meditation just to like come back down to earth a little bit. Cause that's a lot. It's a lot of energy at once. Yeah. Okay. Now that that's off my chest, what do you guys want to talk about today? Just kidding. Obviously, know what I come to these with an idea. I can't just like free flow talk. Like even when it feels like it's a stream of consciousness, like I came to the podcast with that idea. So today, what I actually want to talk to you about, because in 2 weeks, I'm doing my first keynote of 2026. It's been a while since I've been on stage in that way. The last time I did like a true keynote presentation was literally back in October. So it's been a while. I'm honestly feeling a little bit rusty. I created a brand new talk, which when you only have like 2 or 3 weeks to practice it, maybe feels a little bit risky. But I was like, no, this is what I did in the summer. Like I would like really like here's what I've learned about myself, you guys. I think this is a human design thing, but I really need pressure to perform. Like if I'm going to like push myself to do something, it's because there's a deadline or there's something that I've got to like be ready for. I don't do good with like open-endedness. So, yeah, once it was February, I was like, okay, I gotta memorize this talk. So I think it would be cool to kind of walk you guys through that process. So in the Fame Ready Entrepreneur Program, which is my signature group coaching program, I'm actually bringing in someone to talk on this topic in April. She's going to like really dive into how to build a signature talk. Honestly, that is not my area of expertise. So that's why I'm bringing her in to like lead all of the clients through that training herself because she's a speaking coach. This is like her trade. But what I'm going to do, because I did get a lot of questions on just my process, I'm going to walk you through now because last summer I did work with a speaking coach myself. I built a great talk. It did really well. I did it so many times last year. And then now I've crafted this new talk without a speaking coach because I kind of know now, like, I'm like, okay, you got to have the strong intro, you got to have the strong outro. I know personally, like, what I've got to look out for in my own delivery. So I figured I'd just walk you through my process like mine without, if you want to craft your first keynote, maybe you're not ready to invest in a speaking coach yet. Maybe you just kind of want to know, like, what does the process look like? I'm going to walk you through it. I do think everyone should work with a speaking coach when you're like brand new into doing this kind of stuff. I don't think you need to do it right away. So really, really important thing to remember is it's actually easier for a speaking coach to work with you once, okay, a couple things. First, you must have like a really clear personal brand. I see a lot of people like start working with a speaking coach because I think people think the talk is what sells. The talk actually isn't really what sells, it's your personal brand. And the talk has to derive from like what your personal brand is known for. So if you don't have a personal brand, or it's muddy, or you're confused about what you even do or what you're known for, it's going to be even harder for like an event organizer to know. So that's kind of the first thing. If you're going to work with a speaking coach, make sure you've got that kind of personal brand dialed in. And then the second thing is I actually recommend like doing your talk a couple different times. Like you should actually get comfortable with the idea of public speaking before you work with a speaking coach. And I'll tell you why. Every type of talk is different. Workshop is delivered differently than a keynote. Keynote is delivered differently than a panel. And I think it's important that you have these experiences. And I would say, like, obviously, this is so nuanced, like everything, but like, if you're getting like maybe it's a couple like workshop or like small chamber of commerce events, like if you're getting a couple different like smaller events where you can just dip your toes into like, maybe put together a presentation, you just see how it goes. If you can like witness yourself speaking at an event just to see like, okay, what did that feel like? What do I actually think I need help with? What didn't I love about that experience? It's really hard to just go into something totally blind. And I think with speaking, like you could spend so much money on a speaking coach. And I think until you really know like the thing that you need help with, you're probably going to invest more money than you actually need to. So typically when clients come to me and they want to do more speaking and they're like, should I invest in a speaking coach? I'm like, not yet. Get a couple experiences under your belt first. And then you can bring those experiences to the speaking coach because now you have data, you have something to work from. Okay. So that's just like my disclaimer, because I'm going to walk you through how I've like kind of crafted this new talk, which isn't totally brand new. So there are elements of it that I have delivered in my previous keynotes. It's just kind of like rearranged a little bit. And the overall point is different. So why did I do this? So it's really important for you to be really connected to the talk that you're delivering. And like I mentioned before, the talk needs to connect to the personal brand. So while the talks that I had given like last year were great, they were great for like a previous version of myself, someone who, maybe doesn't have as much experience as I have now. My stories are different, my skill set is different. So that calls for a new talk, because I want to be up on stage really like speaking from the heart and connecting to potential clients, potential community members, people that connect to me now, not the Katrina from 2025, the people that are connected to me right now here in 2026 and want to continue to learn from me, work for me, all of that. Work for me, work with me, or for me. I guess I am growing a team here. So that's why I was like, ooh, I know I got to revamp this talk because it's just not feeling like me anymore. So here's what I did. Okay. So it's hard to build a talk from scratch, and majority of the keynotes that I don't have like slide projectors. Okay. Most of the events that I speak at, like these like fun female entrepreneur events, the aesthetic is everything. So they will say, hey, no slides. There is no projector, there is no screen. So this has got to be something from the heart. That's hard, right? Like that really is challenging. Um, and I think that's why it's really important to, so I think sometimes people build a talk, they actually go straight into Canva and just like start building slides. That's like pretty junior behavior, in my opinion. I think you've got to be able to talk it out first. So, really, really practically, what I do, what I did when I was building this talk is I was like, okay, I am just going to stand in my office. I'm going to set a timer and I'm going to very casually deliver a talk to no one. But this is going to be the bones of like what I want to get across. So I'm in my office, the door is closed. I've like, set the timer for 45 minutes, whatever it is. And then I hit record and I'm recording a voice memo on my phone of me delivering this talk. You must know that the talk is so bad, okay? This is me basically rambling, and I'll actually say to myself, I need something to connect this point to this point. This is when I then get into my FAME formula, and this is what this entails. So I'm giving this talk and I'm pretending that I'm talking to an audience, but at the same time, I'm like verbally saying out loud where I think there needs to be like more information, more help, more ideation, more beef. And so what I'm trying to do is just have a skeleton, because if you don't have a skeleton script, if you don't have like a general idea of how you want your 45, 30, 20 minutes, whatever it is, if you don't know how you actually want that to go, it's going to be really, really hard to like build in the stories, build in the frameworks, the teaching, etc. Okay. So that's what I do. It comes out terribly. Okay. I never listen to the voice note again. What I do instead is I take the transcript from that voice note and I put it into an AI, so like a chat GPT, and I say, this is a very, very rough version of the new keynote talk I'm developing. Without eliminating my words or my voice, can you refine this into a script and also provide feedback on where we need to add more content? Okay. So what this does is, and here's the thing, like you don't want ChatGPT to write the script for you. You need this to be in your voice. So it's very, very important that you do not, it's very important that you say like, maintain 99% of my original content. Like make it super clear that you do not want it to give you like its weird AI speak, because I am so conscious of AI at this point. Like I was emceeing an event the other week and there was someone who I knew her talking points were developed by ChatGPT just because of like the cadence, the things she would say. She was a great speaker, but I was like, wow, this is so AI coded right now. And you don't want that. You want it to feel authentically you. So don't let ChatGPT like give you like a new kind of like, don't let it rewrite it for you. You really just want it to put it into a script that you can read. Okay. So you get the script and it's going to offer you some feedback where it's like, hey, this part needs to be strengthened. This part feels disjointed. And then you're going to workshop it. You're going to say, okay, yes, this is where I'm going to add in maybe a story here. This is where I can add a little like bridge. And so basically like you're using AI here to help you craft the script so you have something to work from. Okay. So once you have the final script, you will literally have, I mean, for those of you watching on YouTube, you will literally have pages. It's a full script. It's the whole thing. Okay. So now you're probably thinking, okay, well, now I've got to memorize this. This is like 12 pages. So don't get stressed out just yet. Okay. So when I try to do everything, like I break all of my like life is broken up into like monthly sprints. So I didn't start crafting this talk till the beginning of February. This talk I'm giving at the end of February. And so what I did for the first couple days is So I have a time block in my calendar. Every single day, there's an hour time block that I practice this talk. Okay. If I'm not feeling well, if I'm feeling tired, if I'm in a horrific mood, I'm not going to practice it. Because you know why? It's not going to come out good. And it's just going to make me more frustrated, more stressed. So over the weekend, I had a migraine for like 3 days. I didn't practice this once because I was like, it's going to be pushing in a way that isn't going to feel good and it's going to stress me out. And it's just like, this is something that takes energy. And I think so many of us want to be speakers. And then we like realize how much work it actually is when this is your craft. And I think for a lot of people, they probably rethink whether or not this is something they actually want to do. Okay. So you get this script. And so for the first couple days, I like literally just read the script out loud. Okay. I have my fancy like faux microphone. It's sparkly. It's Taylor Swift inspired. So I would just stand at my standing desk reading it out loud while holding the microphone just from like, muscle energy, body, muscle memory. But I'm reading the script to start like ingraining the voice, the concepts, etc. Okay. I do that for like call it like about a week of like me reading. But like soon enough, you get to a point where you actually don't need to read this anymore. And instead, for those of you watching on YouTube, I didn't mean to make this such a visual thing, but if you're watching on YouTube, you can kind of see like this chicken scratch on the back here. So what this is I actually create a shorthand outline of each section. So like your script, especially if you're working on it in AI is going to break it up into sections for you. And I actually think that's great. So, if I just take you through the beginning of mine, so like I have an opening. Okay. And so in my brain, I know like everything that happens in the opening. Then the next section is called the first time I asked this question. Okay. Because that relates to, it's like me getting into a story. So like that heading like prompts that. And then it has leaving corporate to starting a business. So that's like the next section. Okay. And so you get to a point where you practice this enough where you actually know what the sections are. And it actually doesn't really matter how you deliver the content inside those sections. Okay. So I have basically broken my talk down into this like shorthand, like 11 sequence thing. Okay. So, like number 1 is opening. Number 2 says the exit. Number 3 says agency intro. Number 4 says big mistake. Those are the themes of these different sections. And so in my brain, I just start to know like, okay, after the opening, that's when I go into the exit, which is the story that I tell at the beginning of the talk. And so instead of building muscle memory or memorizing the actual content in each section, like word for word, I'm memorizing the sequence. Because at the end of the day, when I get up on stage, I know that I can like deliver this talk not exactly how I've written it, but exactly how the audience is supposed to hear it. Because I might listen to like some of the other speakers and like pick up something that I want to integrate into the talk. I might, something might happen to me that day and I'm like, wow, this is so relevant and I want to integrate it. So I don't get so married. Like, this isn't a TED talk. This isn't where you need to like say things a certain way. It's not like this is your keynote in your voice. So instead of getting married to like saying the talk word for word, get comfortable with the sequence that you're talking in. And then this becomes easier to memorize because if you just know, like, okay, so after my intro, I get into like the first story that adds context, and then I transition into why this story created a problem. Like now you just know this is the story that you're telling instead of this like literal 16-page script that like it's not like most people aren't going to be able to memorize that. Okay. So it's okay. So I'm now at a point where like I will like use the script not so much as like a crutch as I'm practicing. Now I've like stopped practicing in my office. I actually practice in my bedroom because I want to start practicing walking. Okay. So this is another thing a lot of speaking coaches will tell you. You've got to have a movement. You've got to be like, using the full length of the stage. So my office is very square. There isn't really room to move left and right. So I practice this in my bedroom where I can basically get comfortable like walking side to side. This also helps me get comfortable with certain body movements because maybe there is a line that I really want to make sure I say in a certain way, and I might deliver some sort of like action or body movement with it. It's funny, one of the compliments, so, like, for those of you that have been listening for a long time, obviously last year was the year everyone called me the Taylor Swift of public relations. When I did this talk or my keynote talk back in New York, I actually had someone the day after my talk at this conference say to me, "You actually, like, felt like Taylor Swift to me, the way that you, like, moved, like, your outfit," like, she's like, "I could totally see why people call you that." And I think that's probably, like, the previous performer in me who, like, yeah, like, I'm gonna choreograph some things. So, like, there are, like, certain phrases or moments in my talk that I really make sure I say a certain way so I can, like, deliver a little bit of movement, emphasis, and it's something that people remember. And clearly, like, that is what has an impact on people. So that's why I start to practice in a place where I have more room to move around, to like get really like, you know, get comfortable walking. When I do this, so I keep the script, like the script is sitting on the bed, but I'm trying not to rely on it. So I let myself get as far as I can, even if I'm like, ooh, I didn't really deliver that quickly or quite like I wanted to. Like, I try to get myself as far as I can without looking at the script. If I forget something, then I'll let myself take a quick peek, but I'm not holding it in my hands. I'm not like flipping the pages as I go because now I'm really trying to rely on my body and my brain to internalize this thing. Okay. So that's kind of the next step. And now I know I've done this so many times. So over the next couple days, I'm sure I'll get to a point where I don't even need to use the script. And I would say next week marks like 1 week before this event. And so I will just force myself to not use the script at all. So I start to just kind of practice like, okay, if you're up on this stage, like you've got to keep the, you've got to keep talking. You've got to tell the stories. You've got to hit all your points. If you mess it up, nobody else knows except you. So I try to put myself in like that position because I want my brain and body to be really comfortable with like delivering the talk with no crutches, no like aids or anything like that. So that's kind of what that looks like. Um, I will practice this thing every single day. I tend not to do it like more than once a day. Maybe next week, just if depending on how I'm feeling, maybe I'll practice it like once in the morning, once in the evening. But I try to like really release perfection when it comes to this thing. I actually think this is like the best thing that you can do. I try to just like, I'm like, okay, it's not like however it comes out is how it's meant to come out. And so, like, if say I'm doing a practice run and it's like, I'm like, ooh, that wasn't my best. I don't practice it again to try to prove to myself that I can do it. I just like really with confidence know that when I get up on that stage, it's going to be great. I trust myself. I trust my voice. I trust my presence. So for me, it's not about like practicing this thing until it's perfectly memorized or perfectly spoken. It's practicing it enough so I know I can lead myself through 45 minutes of talking about my expertise without any aids. So that really is like how it happens. Um, when I get to the event, so this is an event that's in Wisconsin, so I will fly out, like it's gonna take me a whole day to get there. So I will fly in. I think my flight gets in at like 9 o'clock in the evening, so quite late. I probably won't practice that talk when I get to the hotel at 9 o'clock. I don't I don't think that's gonna do me any f yeah, I don't think I think that's gonna cause more stress, and I'll just be more tired, but, like, I'll wake up the next day, I have a free day before the event, so I can, like, practice it that day and, like, probably practice it twice that day, once in the morning, once in the evening, and then the day of the presentation, I'll probably do it once in the morning before I go to the venue. My speaking coach would tell me not to do that, but actually every time I've given a talk, I shouldn't say every time, but last summer when I was speaking quite frequently, I would always try to do the talk once before going to the venue the day of the talk, just to like give myself that little like, okay, you've got this. It's in your brain. You're going to be great. And then, if by chance that practice round doesn't go well, I still know that I got myself. So, do you see how like in a really roundabout way, it's like so much less about the actual like function and how you do it and more just about self-trust. Like this really, and I think this is why people like there's so much work that goes into being a speaker, building a personal brand, showing up more visibly, being open for people to judge, to talk about, to all of that. So like, I think people forget that, like, the biggest part of this journey is building trust with yourself and knowing that you can get up on that stage and just talk, and people are still going to want to work with you. People will still think you're awesome, even if you're not perfectly eloquent. Like, last October, the last time I did my quote unquote keynote, I actually didn't do my keynote in the traditional sense. It was an event called Nice Girl Funeral, and I was at the event, and I really noticed how so many people were just talking like from the heart. Like it wasn't this like perfectly polished, like there wasn't these like perfectly choreographed keynotes. Like it was a little bit more raw than that. And I thought that was really beautiful, and I was like, "You know what? It just feels wrong, like, read the room, Katrina. It just feels wrong to, like, after spending, because I spoke on the 3rd day of that event, so the last day. So, the first 2 days, I was just, like, soaking it in, making connections, creating content. People knew that I was a speaker, but I was still able to just, like, connect and build relationships. And so I felt by the Sunday, the last day, I was like, people already know me. They trust me. They like me. So if I get up on the stage and like try to perform, that's probably not going to do much for anybody. So I did a version of my keynote, and this is why the sequencing I talked about is so important, because in my head, I still had my talking points. But what I did instead was I literally just kind of got up there and like quote unquote riffed. Jessica Parr, the founder of Nice Girl Funeral, also, her and I went to high school together. I just always have to mention that. Um, she is like a big fan of a riff. She like doesn't, I don't know. I just am so like blown away by how she's able to present herself and her information. And it's just so like kind of off the cuff. So I'm like, you know what? I'm going to do that. And so I did that. That event made me like $20,000 in revenue. So there's something to like just actually trusting your voice and your expertise up on stage. So while, yeah, you could follow everything that I've told you, you could hire a speaking coach to help you. But if at the end of the day, you don't have the self trust, the self leadership, the confidence, this is going to be so fucking hard. So I think that about wraps it up. Yeah. So it's so interesting because I've really felt like I've always wanted this podcast to like deliver like tactical value. I'm obviously a big fan of making sure people actually like know the how, have the resources, know the strategy. But as I kind of step into this next level of my own business and my own personal brand, I've realized just how important the confidence and the mindset and the trust for myself. I always knew those things were important, but now those things are actually more important than like the strategy and the marketing stuff. So, why I share this is because inside the Fame Ready Entrepreneur program, obviously it's an incredible program where you can like have access to speaking, media, podcast opportunities. It's where you get access to templates and resources and obviously all my intel. You can have access to me and guest experts on weekly calls. All of that stuff is so great and it's so important, but the part that I cannot discount is how much being in a space like that with other business owners who are like, I'm going to be famous, I'm going to be well known for my work, and I'm doing it right now. Like that does something to your confidence that I don't think we can really find elsewhere. So I just mentioned that because last night we had one of the hot seat coaching calls in the community. And we didn't talk about pitching or strategy at all. The common theme was like each and every person in that Zoom room, including me, needed permission to just like go bigger, do exactly what like your heart is calling you to do. And that is powerful stuff too. So it's the best of both worlds, honestly. Of course it is. I'm a Libra. It's all about balance. So with that, I'll leave you here. I will link the Fame Ready Entrepreneur program in the show notes so you can check that out. You can obviously check out Big Brand Energy. Make sure you grab your ticket. There's a coupon code, $50 off your ticket with code FAMEREADY. That code works even off of the regular price tickets. So it's not a pre-sale code. It's for you because you are a listener of this podcast, and I'm so grateful for that. So with that, I will talk to you all next week. Hope you love this episode. If you did, please rate and review everywhere you listen to podcasts, and I'll talk to you all very soon. Okay? Toodles.